We got a poll question for you today, and some of you went and played it early online, and I went and changed it anyway. Because everybody was going toward the middle. Oh, that's interesting. I did have one up there that said, I can't decide if it's glass half full or glass half empty. So I took that out. So now you got to vote again. Use your phone, get the QR code. The question is, how do you feel about the UT season so far? 5-1 is glass half full, and then the other side is feel doomed, glass half empty. The half full is winning so far, but you can play. There's some people voting doomed. Get in there and vote. Use your smartphone on the QR code there. It's brought to you by Hearthside Bank, always within reach. So's our poll. You can use the QR code, or you can go to our website, sportsource.tv/polls. All right. Josh, you can get us started here. Best player on the field last night can be a Florida Gator, can be a Tennessee Vol.
Well, I'll pick up from last segment. I think Dylan Sampson is the choice. I think there are a few candidates. The defense, the way that it played, you have some candidates on that side. But Tennessee was still trailing and had to score points, had to get touchdowns. And Dylan Sampson is, at this point, the only guy that you can trust to go get a touchdown for you on offense.
Yeah, and just real quick, he scored your first touchdown, right? Got you on the board. He scored the go-ahead touchdown. Correct. And then he scores the winning touchdown. So not only, and I think he a career high number of carries, 27.
27. Yeah.
So, I mean, when you add all that up, John, and you said it, where would you be without him?
He's an emotional leader, too. I mean, they need that. And he is providing that. He delivered a message to the team. They gathered in a circle in the end zone before the game kicked off, and it's Dylan that's delivering the message. So he's the heart of the team, and he's their best player on offense.
That might be the one thing he couldn't do because the message didn't seem to work. But that's not his fault.
He tried.
I'll give him credit for trying.
A for effort.
A for absolutely. Best player on the field?
Yeah, best player was Dylan Sampson by far. And I almost partnered that with my worst decision as well because I was looking at the game. He scores the touchdown.
Hang on. Let's do worst decision in a second. Let's get we got to let him in. Hold on.
I'm gonna go with best player on the field is James Pierce Jr. But we don't see enough of him. So
37 snaps last night.
37 snaps, and you know this as a former defensive lineman. And you're the top guy. You get a lot more than that. But I think he's a playmaker. When he was out there, he was making plays. We stunned him. He got pressures, got the quarterback off the spot. So I would say best player on the field was James Pierce Jr.
He also, look, we've given him, I have given him share of grief this year. It's like if you're going to be called the player of the year in college football, you got to make game-changing plays.
Top 5 draft pick.
He did last night.
Yep.
Well, to me, there's a difference between draft pick. Draft pick is potential and athletic ability. When somebody calls you the top player in college football, you better dominate.
Yeah,
you better make game-changing plays.
Yeah.
He made one last night, stripping that ball out of Mertz late in that game. All
That's
right.
pretty good.
Worst decision, Daniel.
Yeah. So Dylan Sampson scores. Tennessee's down 10-7. We get the interception down on the 25-yard line. I was like, perfect. Go back with the guy that just scored it. We bring in Bishop as running back, and I was like, okay, why are we doing this? And then sure enough, third down, Bishop misses a linebacker pickup, causes an errant throw, and now you're kicking the field goal. And now you're 10-10 instead of 14-10. And it's like, man, if he was tired, just call a timeout. You want Sampson in that 20 yards. He's going to go score.
Thoughts?
Worst decision. My thought process is when you have an offensive-minded coach, I expect be offensive-minded, go score the ball. We went up 17-10 late in that ball game, and keep in mind we hadn't scored in the first 2 quarters, and so this was a big deal. We go up 17-10. We got a chance to put it away. Defense has a great stop. We get the ball back in good field position, and what we do is we run. We're slow, tempo's down. We run the ball again, and then it's 3rd and 10. We throw the ball, and now we're going to punt. And for me, that looked like we were conceding. Hey, we're going to let defense win the ball game for you again. And what happened was we've seen Oklahoma, we got some scares there. Defense was awesome. But in Arkansas, we did the same mindset. Let's go let the defense win the football game, and we couldn't win it. And so that I knew then Florida turns around and goes score the ball. We're tied up.
Yeah.
So put your foot on their throat when you get a chance to and put the game away.
Is there time to give Billy Napier a worse decision at some point? End of half, for sure, when they had the 10-second runoff, when he had used a timeout,
well, that turned out to be
when
pretty
the
big,
clock
didn't it?
is stopped.
Yep.
And I was thinking when they, at the end of regulation, when they were showing that weird formation, and you're thinking, boy, have they got something up their sleeve, and it's just like he was showing it. You think he would go back and go for 2 right then?
He felt that his comment after the game, I think he said he felt that Tennessee's timeout they called the timeout and they were ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they go back to the sideline and decided, okay, let's just go play overtime.
Okay.
Yeah, I
what he
didn't
said.
have a problem. That's a good question, though, on that decision not to do it. I'm sure he's getting eaten alive at Florida today. But I probably would have done the same thing. Looking at Tennessee's offense,
Yep.
I would have felt like, let's take them to overtime because
Yeah.
they're not going to score.
That was the same thing I was going to say. You
Yeah.
can't score.
Unless you've just got a play that you feel is golden, that you've got that you're either going to
Yeah,
call
and he
right
didn't.
Marlin, short yardage or something. If the game's on the line, we're going to run this.
And you practice it.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that was as much, but the end of the half was classic Billy Napier.
Worst
As,
decision.
as two of the players that rule was created against, it was awesome to see it used against Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tennessee fans were glad they didn't go for 2 just because fans have seen so many different ways to lose to the Gators that would have been a new one to add to the list.
Worst decision last night?
So there are candidates on both sides. I consider the going for it 4th and 1 on their own 10, which I know is coming up in conversation, but it didn't cost them, so I'm not going with that. But I don't get it. I'm going to say the 4th and 1 that Florida ran middle of the second quarter, where they go wide with Wilson's a terrific athlete, but you need a yard, and they tried to get 15, and it didn't work out. So that's one of several examples of Florida costing themselves. Tennessee played a role in that too. Tennessee made a play on it,
Right.
but Florida kept shooting itself in the foot to help Tennessee in the first half.
Which is very rare in that series. As we talked about in the first segment, usually it's Tennessee finds a way to lose, and last night Florida contributed to their own demise. All right, very quickly, we're going to have 15 seconds each here. What was your biggest disappointment from last night's game, Chuck?
My biggest disappointment was Keenan Pilley gets hurt early, and it doesn't look good. And then you look at that, and also I feel bad for Graham Mertz because both of them could be out for the
And
season.
Mertz was playing well today.
Yeah, and he was playing really well, but both of them could be out for the season, and you just hate to see that happen to anybody.
All right, biggest disappointment.
Tennessee's offensive line play and the tackle performance. Disappointment's an understatement with the tackle performance.
I would say Nico, but we're going to go there in its own segment soon. So I'm going to throw in, I gave Jackson Ross some love a couple weeks ago. I'm rescinding my love. I thought just those last 2 punts, those line drives there at the end. I mean, the last one especially. The defense has been, the offense is doing nothing. They keep coming out there. They've lost players. There's all the reason in the world. You know this. Defenses can get demoralized and finally just break. They're trying to hang on, and you give them the ball at the 31-yard line on the punt return because you kicked the line drive. Jackson Ross, you get the love, you have it taken away.
Rescinded.
Daniel Hood, biggest disappointment.
Chuck stole my first one. Josh was on my second one. So my biggest disappointment now is how much money we paid Lance Hurd, and it's not going to Gerard McCoy. That's my biggest disappointment. We need to get
I tweeted that last night,
Yeah,
too.
that's what
Yeah.
got to get Gerard McCoy some money.
Biggest disappointment is not seeing enough of James Pierce Jr. He's a freak athlete, awesome. He's got all the talent, everything you could possibly draw up for him. And then you look at the game and it's big moments, and it's disappointing to not see him in those
He's
moments.
out there for half the time, half the snaps on defense. All right. When we come back, has Heupel lost faith in his players? Was Alex Golesh a bigger loss than we expected? Come on back on the Sports Source. We'll discuss that.